Dear friends, welcome to another episode of the Military Ranking Channel. In this video, we will discuss how China views the recent events in Israel and whether that conflict, combined with the situation in Ukraine, may present an opportunity for China's long-anticipated invasion of Taiwan. Following the traits he reinforced during his time as an agent of the Soviet KGB, Vladimir Putin gained prominence in the Russian political landscape due to his cold and calculated style. He moves only when strictly necessary to avoid causing premature tension or commotion, but doesn't hesitate to strike with full force when he deems it appropriate. All the decisions he has made during his 23 years in power in Russia were carefully calculated and weighed, including the invasion he launched into Ukraine on February 24, 2022. That invasion marked the culmination of a long series of Russian attacks and invasions of smaller and medium-sized dimensions. Putin carefully assessed the reaction of his Western adversaries, primarily the United States and NATO, at every step. His first significant action in this regard occurred in 2008 when he invaded the small country of Georgia, preventing it from getting closer to the west by invading and militarily occupying two regions in the north of that country. Subsequently, in 2014, there was the first invasion of Ukraine, which resulted in the illegal annexation of Crimea, followed by the financing and support of pro-Russian separatists in Donbass, initiating a terrible separatist war in that region. At each of these moves, Putin meticulously assessed the reaction of his adversaries, and on each of those occasions, he saw weakness and a lack of determination in confronting him. In both the case of Georgia in 2008 and Ukraine in 2014, the West limited itself to issuing mere statements of condemnation, with Europe, particularly Germany, ignoring the illegal invasions and annexations and rushing to enter into significant and lucrative contracts with Russia for the sale of gas and oil. Confronted with all these displays of weakness and aware of Europe's dependence on Russian gas and oil, Putin invaded Ukraine again in February 2022, presuming that the West would react as it did in 2008 and 2014. But as we all know, this time was vastly different. The West viewed this new Russian aggression as the final straw, and the United States, NATO, and the European Union provided robust defensive support to Ukraine, delivering over $100 billion in financial, humanitarian, and military aid to the Ukrainians in the last 19.5 months of war. This unexpected reaction from the West caught Putin completely off guard, compelling him to significantly alter his plans. He shifted from a rapid war expected to last a few weeks or months, to a much longer and terribly devastating conflict, which had equally devastating effects on Russia's economy and its exports of gas. China, under the leadership of Xi Jinping, has been closely monitoring all Russian movements in the war and, more importantly, how the West responded. For decades, China has threatened to invade the small island of Taiwan, but they understand that invading an island located kilometers from their coast, especially one heavily armed with thousands of anti-aircraft and anti-ship missiles, won't be an easy task. Things could get even worse for China if Taiwan receives support from the West, much like Ukraine is receiving now. Many analysts believe that if the Russian invasion of Ukraine had gone exactly as Putin intended, meaning the West had not formed a united front of military and financial support, merely issuing statements of condemnation as they did in 2008 and 2014, Xi Jinping would likely have ordered, or been very close to ordering, a large-scale invasion of Taiwan. However, as mentioned earlier, the strong and resolute response of the West in Ukraine effectively discouraged China's invasion plans. Nevertheless, with the conflict between Israel and Hamas escalating in intensity, an imminent ground invasion of the Gaza Strip, and the Hezbollah in the north and pro-Iranian groups in Syria promising to attack Israel, the United States and the European Union could potentially find another ally to support with weapons, ammunition, and finances. While Israel is much better prepared for a long war than Ukraine, with one of the world's largest and most advanced defense industries, it is undeniable that if the conflict spirals out of control, particularly if Israel indeed invades the Gaza Strip and combat proves to be very challenging, especially if Hezbollah and pro-Iranian Syrians open another front in the north. The United States and Israel's European allies will inevitably have to support Israel's war effort with arms and finances. With the West already involved in a lengthy and costly war in Ukraine and poised to become embroiled in another potentially long and expensive conflict, this could be the opportunity that China has long anticipated to finally invade Taiwan. Much will depend on how the war between Israel and Hamas unfolds. If the worst-case scenario materializes, with a prolonged ground invasion lasting for weeks or months, and with Hezbollah and the Iranians launching attacks from the north, the United States, NATO, and the European Union might not be able to support a third ally in a third highly costly and draining war, as would be the case in a Chinese invasion of Taiwan. Therefore, if the Gaza Strip war extends, and new actors become directly involved, particularly Hezbollah and Iran, China may see this as the perfect opportunity to attack Taiwan, knowing that the United States, NATO, and the European Union will be deeply engaged in Ukraine and Israel. Follow the Ranking Military channel for more videos like this. Until next time.